worst case, misuse, lights out? Give us your thoughts on that, my man.
So let's start with what the ChatGPT is. I always tell people, in order to simplify what ChatGPT is, it's like a librarian, and the librarian has access to information. So, for instance, in ChatGPT, it has access not to the internet, but to a certain amount of information. So a librarian that works in the library just has access to that library. So ChatGPT has access to a certain amount of information. And the goal is, if you ask a question, it goes through the library and then extrapolates from certain books the exact questions you asked, and then feeds you that answer. So I asked him, hey, I want to know Shakespeare's sonnets. He goes into the library and extracts Shakespeare's sonnets and gives you the information about that. And that's what ChatGPT is, just a huge librarian that has access to information and takes it. So the best case scenario is, again, you even answered the question, efficiency. It makes everybody's job as efficient as possible. It's a data-driven system that if you ask him one question, it goes into the entire data set and gives you a specific answer. Unlike Google, you ask Google a question, that's why they call it a Google killer. Google gives you a generalized answer, gives you where it might be, where it could be, where it not could be, gives you 100 sites where that information could be. But the difference between ChatGPT, it goes in and extrapolates the exact question you want answered, and takes and finds the exact question and says, okay, this could answer this. And not only that, it then recollects, somebody might have asked that same question and goes back and sees what he answered in the same question and extrapolates that answer. So it's a revolving door of going into a big information dump and finding the answer. But again, that the goal of ChatGPT is to make your life efficient. Blogs.
What's up, ladder climbers? I wanted to interrupt this video today to tell you guys about the Patreon. Join the Patreon, guys. For $23.99 a month as a professional Patreon member, you get access to me, who is a professional career coach. Guys, if you booked a professional career coach one time, you're going to be spending, for one interview or for one consultation, you're going to be spending more than you would actually pay for a full year in the professional Patreon. You not only get access to me as a professional career coach, you get access to Google certifications so that you can enter the IT market with the skills that you need. You not only get access to Google certifications, you get access to the Black Heights community, which is a powerful community of over 90 individuals who are in the IT space, have all sorts of backgrounds, and that can help to motivate you, keep you motivated so that you can accomplish those goals that you want to accomplish. Become part of the Patreon today, guys. Check it out. See the link in the description. Now let's talk about this, right? So efficiency is a huge one. And, abundance, deadlocks, right? Aspects of reality. And this can make a whole bunch of people's lives, significant and better. I even used the example of the blogs, that, I'm able to put more content out there. I'm able to put better content out there and so forth. Talk about, best case scenario. Have you used it yet, brother AI?
I've used ChatGPT in different cases. I've utilized it in some of the codes I'm writing. So for instance, I was looking at a project where I was working with a human resources system on how to create a system for skills development using graphical neural network. So I typed in a code and said, I need a code on how to write graphical neural network for this. And it spit out something I could use. And then I built upon it. Wow. So it gave me that starting point. And I said, okay, what would have taken me 4 or 5 weeks to research and get? It gave me quickly. So then it basically reduced the amount of time I had to spend on trying to figure out that project. So it gave me more time and made me a little bit more efficient in order to build my project. So again, instead of spending 3 months researching it, I could just spend a month. So it reduced my time and made it more efficient. So that's what ChatGPT gave me a way to do it. It's doing everybody, giving you code and all that. So it's really efficient in terms of the production, in terms of the content it produces.
So now, and I say this, right? You and I, we're very similar when it comes down to money, right? And how we can lose it to make money and stuff like that, right? So there's my mind goes towards that right away. It's like, okay, well, what can I leverage this tool for to make more money? And that is more blogs, more content, more an ability to reach people the right way and to get answers resolved or get issues resolved very, very, very fast, right? And I think about that as a huge benefit. And we also know that there's also a worst case scenario that's there.
Yes.
And I'm the person, I always go to the best case. Ask brother PBL, right? I have that mind that's optimist, and our brother PBL is more as a he's thinking of like the cynical side of it, right? So we're gonna transition to the worst case scenario. The CEO, Sam Altman, said this. All right. Best case, abundance, resolve deadlocks, improve overall aspects of reality for us. Worst case, lights out. Talk about that, my man. Talk about the worst case scenarios for this sort of situation, and not just look at it from, when I mean lights out, I'm talking about like lights out as in
lights out as in,
like that can mean many things, but give me your opinion on that piece.
I'm going to give you the worst case scenario. So this involves every aspect of technology, from cybersecurity to everything. So, for instance, if I, on the other hand, owns my own server and say, okay, I'm looking for information on how to disrupt the world economy or disrupt the whole nation. And again, ChatGPT is dependent on data source itself, the amount of data source you have. So now I have an open source program that can look through information and give you details on what to do. So, for instance, if I can hack into every world government itself in terms of not only their nuclear weapons, the economy, all that, and then attach again, remember, ChatGPT is just an algorithm that takes in all the information and gives you a best case and worst case scenario. So now I've as a cybersecurity, if I wasn't a cybersecurity, I hacked into the government agency. Have ChatGPT going through each of those agencies and scour each of those agencies and say, hey, all these are the whole information from ChatGPT and all the scenarios. I want a way to disrupt the whole world government. I've hacked into each of their systems, and ChatGPT comes in and says, hey, you have China, you have US, you have this, you have that. If you do this, if you do that, you can either launch a warhead, you can do this, you can disrupt. So ChatGPT takes all those scenarios and gives you, again, it's a statistical analysis, and gives you all the scenarios that you can use to disrupt the whole nation. And that's the problem. Again, the whole source of ChatGPT is the data source. What kind of data you attach to it. ChatGPT, again, is a librarian that looks at and gives you a worst case and best case scenario. So you attach ChatGPT to all government systems. Maybe you can hack into every government system and attach ChatGPT and say, all the information I've gathered from all this, I want to give me a best case scenario, worst case scenario to destroy certain governments. ChatGPT looks at all the information and gives you the worst case and best case scenario. And that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
That is the problem. So again, we all should know what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is an algorithm, a mathematical algorithm. What makes that algorithm powerful is the data you feed it. So if I have access, that's why I say cybersecurity is important. If I have access and I can hack into a whole government facility, what do you think I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do? If I was malice, if I had malice intent, I want to destroy a whole country. I want to topple the economy. Or best case scenario, I want to raise my credit score to 800. How can I do that? I want to buy a new Maserati. I want to raise my credit card to 100. I'm gonna go to every credit score database, and they're hacking all the credit score database now easily.
Yep.
So I want to go and ask ChatGPT. I want to raise my credit score to 800, utilizing all those three databases. ChatGPT is going to give you the answer again. This is it.
Wow. Well,
This is what it is.
and talk about this, right? So that's best. That's worst case. That's absolutely worst case.
Worst
But
case.
talk about this,
That's
like,
the worst case.
so we talked about cyber attacks. You know, now also we know that cybersecurity. We got brother PBO in here. We know that cybersecurity is big and it's going to continue to grow
Yeah.
even more. Now, I would assume, since we got so
Yeah,
much
it's gonna
more
grow.
threats and so forth. Talk
Yeah.
about like how this is going to impact the industries, right? Like when he said lights out, the first thing that came to mind was lights out for some of you guys who don't have those skills, right? Like lights out for some of you
Yeah.
guys who don't have the ability to,
But
do work that is not replaceable by ChatGPT. That's the first thing that went to my
yeah.
mind. I thought about more of a career perspective and how this is going to
Yeah.
automate people's roles. Talk about that from that aspect, and what can people do to kind of make the shift, man, to be on the same side of ChatGPT, or to eliminate the risk of being laid off. Talk about that.
Okay, so let's go with the what's going every time. Anytime you come on here, you always do the top 10 technologies or the top 10 jobs or all that stuff.
Yep.
And each of those times you have data analysts, machine learning, you have again cybersecurity analyst, you have an analyst position in there. So the question is, we're seeing more and more technical and data roles being in the top 10 or highest paying or all that, and less of the mundane roles like uh, cooking McDonald's. Or again, I love McDonald's food, so a cooking a cooking McDonald's, or someone who data entry, or someone who does what I call repetitive tasks.
Yep.
So you see less in that and more of the technology. So in terms of what it's going to do, it's going to change how the jobs are. The job market is going to be. The job market will be more of a technical role, or more of, again, blue collar role. Because again, you cannot fully automate blue collar roles. You can automate a little bit, but you can't fully automate, again, certain roles. And why you can't fully automate it is because we humans are involved.
Yeah.
And again, even sales, you cannot automate sales.
I love that.
But
Say it again, brother.
You can never automate sales. And the reason, even I'm going to show you how easy, why it's so difficult, because a human is involved.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what we do every day? We cannot automate what we do every day, and that is to eat. You cannot automate to eat on a daily basis, because there are too many variables involved. I call it external and internal variables. So, for instance, me, if I like eating daily on a daily basis breakfast oatmeal, I cannot predict that next week I'm going to eat oatmeal, because I don't know what will happen next week in terms of me, in terms of maybe my kid wants to eat cereal and I want to eat cereal with my kid.
Yep.
Or I'm not feeling good, I don't want to eat cereal, I want to just drink orange juice and go. So see, all those factors, internal and external, controls what we eat on a daily basis, and we can't predict those factors either. So just to eat on a daily basis, we can't, because we have emotions and all that. Same thing with tech sales. Tech sales is not only involved with data, but it's also involved with emotion. Two humans talking to each other about sales and all that. There's an emotional aspect in it. So you cannot automate tech sales. You can't automate that. Sales is basically a human to human interaction.
I love it.
Even with robots, you can't. So there's certain aspects we can fully automate. There's certain aspects you cannot fully automate. And there are a lot of articles that tell you full automation is impossible, but we can automate some things. We can automate some things in HR in terms of how onboarding and all that process to make it efficient. But you cannot automate the interaction between a human in human resources with another human complaining about his boss or something like that.
Yep.
That's an interaction. So again, full automation is not possible right now, but in the future, next 50 years, probably, with Elon Musk's technology and all that. But right now, it's not possible. But again, there are a lot of jobs that will be automated.
And talk about that. Talk about that, brother AI me, right? Like, What are some of those that will be automated? I went to warehouse. You said, okay, well, not sales, not blue collar work. So our trades are
Where,
suffering right now, and that's a
okay.
big place for people to go and get some money, right? We're talking about not sales, not customer service roles for the most part, because that's also human interaction. Some aspects of it can be automated because
Yeah,
of chat bots and stuff like that. But talk
yeah.
about what roles can be automated that you specifically see where people specifically need to be looking out for.
A lot of roles again, from basic customer service in terms of restaurants. Again, right now I was working on a project on automating a whole restaurant
Wow.
on how, and again, a whole. I normally it took me 5-10 minutes to teach them how to automate a whole restaurant in
Wow.
10 minutes,
Wow.
and that's from the server to a cook to the dishwasher. Everybody. It took me 10 minutes to teach them how to automate the whole system. So if your system is repetitive, you will be automated. If
Mm.
you if you do one thing and everything, and tax people who do taxes, but again, taxes change every year. But again, certain taxes in terms of data entry and all that will be automated.
Mm.
Certain roles, a lot of roles, I believe around 60% of most roles right now in the United States are repetitive, and most of those roles will be automated.
Mm. 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 So
And
guys,
what I always tell people is there's ways to fight it, is to get new skills, but 60% of roles that are really repetitive will be automated in the United States.
think about that, guys. Think about what he's saying.